power on the fryer, it'll come up to the screen and it's going to ask you what the pot's going to be, what's going to be cooked in the pot. So the setup as it comes up, and then you're going to have to ask the customer which way the fryer is going to be set up. And you have seafood, fries, spicy, and then mild. And all you have to do is pick whatever it's going to be. We'll pick fries on this one and hit the check mark. Don't reset the one fryer now. Go down the whole line of fryers that you have, pick all the menus that should be in each pot, then power cycle the fryer. We start at the filter pan. We'll start at the very bottom and work our way up. The screen, it looks dirty, but all it has is got old oil on it. It's fine, there's no crumbs on it. So the way you're going to put it in is you're going to take the envelope, pick it up, slide it in. Now what we've been finding is people have been just letting this go. Okay, there's no ring in here, and this just slides in over the pickup, over the knurl part. And the whole assembly slides in, and there's a set of tracks inside the pan that just sets it. So the next thing I do on training is once the pan's in place, you show them up here on the controller. If the pan is out, there's a P in the top right hand corner. With the pan in place, the P disappears. Okay, next I go over the pre-filter wrench that's attached on a lanyard. Now this gets hot. It even says hot on the pre-filter itself. So you loosen it up. The reason why it's full of junk or crumbs is because the filter paper was torn beforehand. This should not have anything in it. It shouldn't be cleaned but once, maybe a quarter. If they're cleaning it daily, they're not putting the paper together correctly. What you need to do is just take a fake towel, just give it a wipe, and there's an O-ring inside there also. Alright, and screw it back in place. And then this one you just need to snug up because it's an O-ring seat. And you put the wrench back. So while I'm down here, I show them where the pump reset is. It's not the most easy place to get it. I'm just going to get sharper. The complaint I'm getting, no, it's got the wiggle. We're working our way up the fryer, so now we're at the controller. You want to teach them everything, what all the buttons do, and especially how to turn it on. To turn it on, it even says push and hold for 3 seconds. So you push and hold for 3 seconds, it'll beep, it'll say initializing, it'll boot up, it'll take several seconds, and then we go into melt. Now, technician's part, this you cannot bypass melt, and this is the only fryer that has 2 melt features. What I mean by 2 melt features is we have a relay from room temperature to 180 that pulls in. So the float switch is not working between room temperature and 180. That's very important for you to note that. After 180, the float switch works. So what you want to teach them is they'll come in and they'll turn it on, they'll all go into melt, and then once it hits 180, it may start saying no oil in fry pot or no oil detected. We're going to go over the float in the next video, but just make a note of that. We're going to have to show them how to free that float switch up. So I want to go over all the buttons. The home button is pretty self-explanatory. It sends you home. It gives you all the options of crew mode, settings, service, menus, and the recipes. We'll go over all them in a second. Crew mode brings you back to the main screen. The next one is your language screen. You push and release. It changes it to Spanish in anywhere you're at. The next one is your filter, and the next one is temperature. So let's hit the filter button, and I want you to go through every single one of these on startup. They're pretty self-explanatory. If they're grayed out, that means it's either not at temperature to do the action, or the fryer must be off to do the action. So we're not going to go through all these right at this moment because we're preheating, but if it's grayed, it means it's either going to be off or it's not at temperature. The very bottom one is advanced filter options. Please go through that. They get stuck. They need to know how to pump oil from the pan, or if they're hooked up to a bulk oil, be able to dispose from the pan to bulk oil. So go through every single one of these, and they're all self-explanatory. Once you hit an action, just follow the prompts. There's videos online that we have that go through every single one of these actions. Please take a moment and show them where those videos are. There's this that comes with the fryer. It's got a QR code on the top right hand corner. All those videos are accessible from there. You want to show them how to cook. So at the very top on the cook screen is what the fryer is set for. There's several different screens. There's mild, spicy, seafood, and fries. So just make sure that's what they want in this spot. To initiate a cook, you just push and release, and it'll start to cook. If they hit a cook and they decide that they do not want to cook, they can hit the X and exit. But if the cook goes more than halfway or more than a third of the way of the cook, it cannot be stopped. It's going to go through the whole cook. So, and if you don't see what on this screen what you want, you can push and hold an icon till it turns red and releases it, and then that's all the other menu items that are in this recipe. Menu sheet.
Which is for mild, right?
Which is for mild. You don't want to put a spicy with a mild. You don't want to put a seafood with a mild. You just want to put mild for mild. So say they don't want strips. They want something different. You can push and hold. It'll put you into the full menu, and let's add nuggets in its place. So nuggets are now in where strips were. So if you do make a mistake and you want to go back to strips, just push and hold again until it turns red, release, and then pick strips again, and the strips are back. Okay. Also, now that it's at temperature, it's showing all the features. One thing notable is the OQS. The OQS is red. What the OQS is an oil quality sensor. They took a reading last night and it was above 27. 27 is Popeye's discard. So this icon down here will turn red. As it gets older and more TPM value, it will change from green to yellow to red. So once it turns red, that means discard. They are going to discard today. So after an OQS filtering, if it is over 27 parts per million and this hand turns red, every time they turn it on and gets up to set point, it's going to come up with this discard down. They can hit no, but if they hit yes, it's going to walk them through the procedure on how to discard. We're going to show you how to hook the hose up on the next video. So when we talk about dispose feature, Popeyes does it a little bit different. It's not direct connected. There's a hose that plugs into the front of the fryer and on a wall somewhere within 10 feet of the fryer. This one here, luckily it's right beside the fryer. One thing is it has a ball valve in the bottom. So what's great about that is you can see if there's any solidified oil. You can open this ball valve and actually put your finger in there. If it's full of oil and solidified oil, it's not going to pump back, having to call the bulk oil company. Okay, so going off with dispose again, we hooked the hose up to the wall, the QD for the bulk oil guys. Then we hook it up to our fryer right here. It's just a push on quick disconnect. We go through the menu of dispose. It'll ask you 2/3 of the way through the menu to pull blue handle. You pull the blue handle out, it'll activate the pump and run the pump for 6.5 minutes. After the 6.5 minutes, it's going to ask you to pull the pan to make sure all the oil is gone. If it isn't, you hit no, the oil's not gone, it'll pump for an additional 3 minutes. And then all the oil will be gone. We always want them to take that hose, which I'm going to show you in a minute, to drain, or if there's solidified oil in the hose, they have to put it in their 3-bay sink with hot water and let it sit for about a half an hour to loosen up the oil. That's probably one of the most common calls we get at Frymaster, is it won't dispose. It's because the hose is all full of solidified oil. So dispose hose, it's different than the washdown hose. It has 2 QDs on it. They're both dry locks, so no oil will leak out. This one here is going to go on the wall, this one's going to go in the fryer. So you just push this in, and if you can follow me over, and then that's it, you're ready for dispose. Okay, the washdown hose is different than the dispose hose. It has a wash handle with a heat ring on it so they don't burn themselves, and they have one male QD on this end. This goes in the same orange connector, and this is for when they do clean and filter. So each system comes with 2 of these, and one disposal. One other thing you want to note to the customer is there should be a metal hook with an O-ring part number sticker on the door, on one of the doors. So what this is this is the O-rings for the filter pan and the O-ring for the pre-filter, with a part number and a QR code how to reorder. It's very important they keep this. If they don't feel it's going to be safe here on the door, have them put it in the manager's office or on a desk. From time to time, you'll get an E65. It says clean float switch. This can happen anytime. Anytime it calls for heat or it doesn't fill the vat. Anytime the float switch is down and the temperature probes are up, it's going to go directly to this error. Okay, so we just got the float switch screen saying check float switch or lift float switch. First you got to take the screen up that's in the bottom of the fryer, pick it up, put it down there and over the tube. It's in between tube 1, 2, and then 3. Sometimes you can't see the oil, the float switch because the oil's so dirty. You reach down, you'll feel a float switch, you'll feel a tube, and then there'll be something in the middle of that. That's the float switch. Lift the float switch up and down, make sure it's moving. Crumbs can get hung up inside the float switch and it'll cause it not to float, so the fryer will think it's out of oil. The message you'll get is scrape paper, scrape pad. Open the doors, pull the filter pan out, take the scraper, scrape along it, do not jab it, do not stab, just scrape across the top of the pad, put all the crumbs in a receptacle to dispose of later.